Imagine living in a world where everything is perfect. The sun always shines, the air is fresh, and everyone around you is joyful. It sounds like a dream, right? But what if I told you that this paradise has a hidden price so horrifying that it might make you question the nature of happiness? That's what Ursula Guin dared us to consider in her powerful short story, The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. In this video, we will explore the dark side of utopia, the hidden cost of perfection, and what Le Guin's haunting tale warns us about the world we live in today. But first, let's take a moment to understand the woman behind this chilling story and how her life and times may have shaped her writing. Ursula K. Le Guin was born in 1929 in Berkeley, California, into a family that valued intellectual and creative pursuits. Her father, Alfred Kroeber, was a prominent anthropologist, and her mother, Theodora Kroeber, was a writer who authored the well-known book Ishi in Two Worlds. Growing up in a household where discussions of culture, society, and human behavior were commonplace, it's no wonder Le Guin developed a deep interest in exploring these themes in her work. Le Guin was also influenced by the turbulent times in which she lived. She came of age during the Great Depression and witnessed the social upheavals of the 1960s and 70s, the civil rights movement, anti-war protests, and the growing awareness of environmental issues left their mark on her. And these events made her acutely aware of the injustices and contradictions that exist in society, themes that are central to much of her work. The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas was written in 1973 as the Vietnam War was winding down and America struggled with its involvement's fallout. And the story reflects Le Guin's deep skepticism of utopian ideals and that any society built on the suffering of others is inherently flawed. Her work dares readers to question the moral compromises that often underpin seemingly perfect worlds. Omelas is the kind of place we all dream about. It's a city filled with happiness, celebration, and endless sunshine. Le Guin paints it vividly. With the clamor of bell that sets the swallows soaring, the festival of summer came to the city. Omelas, bright towered by the sea. In the silence of the broad green meadows, one could hear the music winding through the city streets, farther and nearer and ever approaching, a cheerful, faint sweetness of the air that from time to time trembled and gathered together and broke out into the great joyous clanging of the bells. You can almost see the colorful flags waving in the breeze, hear the joyful laughter of children, and feel the sun's warmth on your skin. But there's a catch. Beneath the shining surface lies a dark secret. Le Guin slowly pulls back the curtain to reveal that Omelas' happiness depends on the unimaginable suffering of one innocent child. This is where the story takes a sharp turn from utopia to something much darker. The people of Omelas are depicted as living in a utopia. In the city, everything is nearly perfect, where joy is abundant, and where the citizens thrive in a seemingly ideal society. However, the story quickly reveals that this perfection comes at a terrible cost. A child is locked away in a small, dark room beneath one of the city's beautiful public buildings. And this child, who could be either a boy or a girl, is malnourished, filthy, and mentally impaired, kept in a state of constant misery. The citizens of Omelas are fully aware of this child's existence, and they understand that their utopian society depends on its suffering. Omelas' prosperity and happiness hinge on the continued torment of this one child, and Le Guin writes, "They all know it is there, all the people of Omelas. Some of them come to see it, others are content merely to know it is there. They all know that it has to be there, but they all understand that their happiness, the beauty of their city, the tenderness of their friendships, the health of their children, the wisdom of their scholars, the skill of their makers, even the abundance of their harvest and the kindly weathers of their skies depend wholly on this child's abominable misery." This grim reality forces the reader to confront the unsettling truth that even in the most perfect societies, hidden injustices may be overlooked or ignored for the greater good. Hawk Chang, in his analysis of the story, suggests that the suffering child embodies a variety of social hierarchies between adults and children, employers and employees, and the rich and the poor. Chang argues that the child's suffering is a powerful allegory for these imbalances, exposing the illusory nature of any utopia built on such profound inequality. The image of the child challenges the very foundation of what we consider just and fair, making Omelas less a utopia and more a disturbing critique of utilitarian ethics. The story reaches its most potent moment when Le Guin introduces the concepts of the ones who walk away. These are the individuals who, upon learning of the child's suffering, cannot reconcile their happiness with the price it demands. Instead of accepting the moral compromise, they leave Omelas, walking away from the city and into an uncertain future. The narrator describes them as walking into the darkness, and they do not come back. This choice to walk away represents a refusal to be complicit in the suffering, even if it means giving up their place in paradise. Le Guin's story serves as a critique of utilitarianism, the ethical theory that suggests the best action is the one that maximizes happiness for the greatest number of people. And in Omelas, the happiness of the many is sustained by the suffering of the few, or in this case, the one. And is such a trade-off justifiable? And where do ethical boundaries lie? Le Guin described it as the dilemma of the American consciousness in the headnote to the story. So what does this story mean for us? While Omelas is a fictional city, its dark secret isn't far from the realities we face. Think about the products we use every day, our phones, clothes, food. How often do we stop to consider who made these items or under what conditions? The suffering of workers in sweatshops or the exploitation of child labor may be out of sight, but it's there, lurking behind the shiny surface of our consumer goods. Le Guin's story forces us to reflect on the hidden injustices that sustain our comforts. We might not have a child locked in the cellar, but we do have systems in place that allow for suffering in exchange for our own well-being. And this isn't a comfortable thought, but it's one we need to face if we're going to make any meaningful change. Scholar Mitch Cox contends that science fiction as a genre can stimulate philosophical inquiry and invite ethical questions. And Le Guin's Omelas presents a moral dilemma eerily similar to the trolley problem, a well-known thought experiment in these fields. The trolley problem asks you to choose between pulling a lever to divert a runaway trolley, saving 5 people but killing 1, or doing nothing and allowing the trolley to kill 5. It's a question of utilitarianism, doing the greatest good for the greatest number, or deontology, following moral rules regardless of the outcome. In Omelas, citizens make similar choices. They can live in blissful ignorance, accepting the child's suffering as the price of their utopia, or they can reject this moral compromise. And the twist is that those who can't accept this reality don't try to change it. They simply walk away. Le Guin describes these people as the ones who walk away from Omelas. They leave the city, walking into an uncertain future, refusing to be complicit in the child's suffering. But what does walking away accomplish? Is it a form of protest, or is it a way to escape the guilt without actually solving the problem? At times, one of the adolescent girls or boys who go to see the child does not go home to weep or rage, does not, in fact, go home at all. Sometimes also a man or woman much older falls silent for a day or two and then leaves home. These people go out into the street and walk down the street alone. Each alone, they go west or north, towards the mountains. They go on, they leave Omelas, they walk ahead into the darkness, and they do not come back. The place they go towards is a place even less imaginable to most of us than the city of happiness. I cannot describe it at all. It is possible that it does not exist, but they seem to know where they're going, the ones who walk away from Omelas. Chang suggests that Le Guin's story is a no-exit parable that questions whether a true utopia can exist without someone paying the price. The act of walking away is not necessarily a solution, but rather a rejection of complicity in an unjust system. And this raises important questions about the ethics of abstention. Does walking away absolve one of responsibility, or is it merely an act of self-preservation? The themes in The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas echo throughout Le Guin's other works, particularly in her exploration of utopian and dystopian societies. In The Dispossessed, for example, Le Guin contrasts 2 worlds, one that is anarchist and communal, and another that is capitalist and hierarchical. While neither society is perfect, Le Guin unearths the sacrifices and compromises required to maintain each system. And the tension between idealism and reality is palpable, much like in Omelas, where a dark undercurrent of suffering mars the ideal society. Another notable work is The Left Hand of Darkness, where Le Guin examines themes of duality and otherness within the context of an alien society. Here, Le Guin questions the nature of identity and culture, much as she does in Omelas, by forcing us to confront how societies often suppress or sacrifice individuality for cohesion. These works, along with Omelas, show Le Guin's commitment to probing the moral and ethical dilemmas that arise when societies strive for perfection, often at the cost of the very humanity they seek to protect. Le Guin's story is less about offering solutions and more about making us think, really think about our world and the moral choices we make every day. The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas reflects our own complicity in the suffering of others, whether we acknowledge it or not. And we might not have the power to change the world overnight, but we can reflect on our actions and make choices that align with our values. Sometimes what we choose not to do has the most immense impact. Walking away might not solve the problem, but it is a powerful statement of refusal, a refusal to accept a world built on suffering. So, what does Ursula Guin want us to take away from Omelas? The story presents a test to look beyond the surface, question the systems we benefit from, and consider the hidden cost of our comfort. Are we willing to accept a perfect world if it's built on the suffering of others? Or are we brave enough to walk away, even if it means facing uncertainty and hardship? The choice is ours, but Le Guin reminds us that ignoring the suffering doesn't make it go away. It just makes us complicit. Ultimately, The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas is a story about us, our world, and the choices we make every day. So let's not forget Le Guin's warning, because the price of utopia might be higher than we're willing to pay. If you enjoyed this video, you know the drill. Like, share, and subscribe. We're on a mission for 1,000 subscribers, and this one might be the one to watch next.